Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast, your destination for all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Kyle Devitt, and across the interwebs is Owen Hart. We're wearing our team's gear. We're at the beginning of our seasons. One of us has played a game already.
Two games.
You played two games?
Yeah, 2 games in. Game
So
three today.
You're 1-1?
1-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll definitely get into that because today, I don't know if we have an applause meter. This is the MIAA D1, D2 preview show. We're going to go through some of the top teams in the MIAA in Division 2 and Division 3. And for those of you, if you're clicked on this and you're a little kind of outside the region, we mean Massachusetts.
Yeah, not Maryland.
Not Maryland. And everyone in lacrosse is like, oh, yeah, MIAA. Click. If it gets us clicks, we'll take it. We enjoy it. Where I think we should start in D2, and I'm going to offer a disclaimer for listeners
Please
and
do.
for Owen.
Yes.
Owen coaches at Westwood. As you can see, if you're watching on a visual medium on YouTube or elsewhere, he's wearing his team apparel. So if Westwood plays a team, I will preface it with every single D2 team that we talk about. If Westwood plays them, Owen will only say nice things. So no one gets any bulletin board material. I don't get an angry 11 p.m. call from Z, and everybody's happy.
You're
Sound
never
good?
not going to get that 11 p.m. call from Z about some nonsense.
He mostly calls me on the way to practice if he's got something to say,
Fair enough.
right? So I'll be on the way to practice. I'll be in the car, and it's Todd Zahurik. Do you want to answer? Depends on how close I am to my field. Sorry, Z, but
Yeah.
he has great 20-minute heaters, right?
Yeah.
Where he'll just go off and then he's like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Bang. And I'm like,
Yeah.
honestly, I respect it.
Yep. All
Because
right.
as anyone knows, I will just talk about lacrosse with anybody, like a 4-year-old. I don't care. I'll tell them about Maryland's men up. It doesn't matter. I'll just go. Where would you like to start? I think Reading is a good spot. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, let's go with that.
Do you play them?
No, we don't. We, we
Perfect.
we played them in 2022 when they, I believe, lost in the Final Four that year, correct me if I'm wrong. And that was Charlie's second to last year as head coach. First time I met him, great dude, standout guy, one of the best people in the sport. And I think a lot of people, me included, maybe thought that they would suffer a little bit of a drop off when he stepped down. Didn't happen. I think that after they had that dominant run in 2023 where they went, I
Yeah.
think 22-1 and finished off the state final and in like they didn't blow Duxbury out, but it was they won wire to wire.
No, I was there.
Yeah.
It's okay to call it that. Like I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I was there and that game wasn't close. Like
Yeah. Wire to wire when they controlled it.
yeah, total control. It was interesting because I remember going into that, everyone was talking about Duxbury's defense, right?
Mhm.
And then it held true for like kind of the first half-ish, and then it was just there was a run, and then it was over. That's
Yep.
it's kind of how a lot of high school games finish. I've noticed is the depth of the bench, regardless of the state or level, determines the winner if both teams are kind of equal, right?
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of Duxbury defense, Reading's defense this year is lights out. They
Yeah.
got studs, and they just had their first game a couple of days ago. They handily held a team that we thought would be pretty good in Division Three, Burlington, to only 3 goals, and I expect that to be their MO throughout the year. They play a pretty tough schedule. They challenge themselves, and I expect that defense to travel in June. They're going to have the legs, and they're really going to make teams uncomfortable all year. They really will.
Yeah. I'm talking about guys like Ben Deemer,
Yeah.
Ian Leonard, Jack Filipski. Like they are tough across the board defensively, whether they're kind of settling in with those guys or if they just want to take the ball away, right? Like they can shut, kill adjacents, get the ball on the ground, start transition. And that's kind of a theme, I guess, for that kind of team, right? Like
Yep.
I mean, they have, Nape Mulvey, who's going to St. A's next year. Very good.
Granara is still pretty solid. Yep.
I mean, super solid. I believe
Yeah.
he's committed to UMass Lowell. Like he was one of the last commits for UMass Lowell. He's their other D1 commit other than Deemer, who's going to Siena. I think they're an interesting team always because they've been there,
Yeah.
right? You always look at teams that have had success, had a championship, or at least had a deep run in the playoffs. When we're kind of doing these previews, we're bringing up the top, 5, 6, 7 teams in each division. I think Reading is there. Any other things do you want to get off your chest about the Rockets?
I think just like some people expect them to go away, and they are not at all. They're still here
No,
to
I don't think
stay,
so.
and they don't expect them to not make noise in June. They're here. They're for real. Yeah.
Yeah, their senior class alone is
Hmm.
really enough to, even if everyone else is just kind of a jobber, drag them to the Final Four. I think they're an incredible team. Here's the other thing: did they change it to Reading Memorial?
Yes, they did.
Why?
I'm
Do you
not sure
know?
when and how that change happened, but they are Reading Memorial High School. Yes.
Is there more than one? Is there like a North Reading?
There's a North Reading. Yeah.
I knew it. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
All right. We just want to be different, I guess. Let's talk about another team that. All right. First of all, do you play Billerica?
We do not play Billerica. Speaking of
Dude,
Billerica
sick dude,
Memorial High
sick
School.
dude. Gotta beat Billerica, dude. Sorry, that's my Billerica accent. That's I for a long time, and I've said this before. I have nothing against the people of Billerica, but I coached a couple kids in college that were from Billerica, and they were nightmares. They were legit. Like I would stay up late at night. Like I wonder if they're in trouble. Like that. It was tough. It was a tough thirsty Thursday night. Every time I was just trying to get ready for a
Yeah.
Friday practice, I was like, oh my god, where are they?
Yeah,
Where are
relax,
they?
Will Hunting, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it's like we didn't have trackers on phones back then. So like if I had trust me, if I was in college, if I was coaching college right now, I would track all your phones. I would want to know where you are all the time. We would have an app and I would just look at where you are. And if you're not on campus, like we're calling the volunteer assistant head coach to incognito wear a black baseball cap and walk into wherever they are and get them out.
Teams take that strategy if you want. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but I want to see it. I want to hear a news story about some college coach doing
I
that.
feel like there's no privacy left, so it would be fine. Let's talk
Back,
about
back to lacrosse.
you're right. Let's talk about Barica. I mean, lots of talent as always. I think this is a team that when I believe they made the finals in 22, right?
Yep.
And they lost to Longmeadow in the double OT game, which I was there for. Unbelievable
Hmm.
end to end action, just a wild goal to end it, right?
Yeah.
And I think this team is all over the place in terms of talent and class, right? And I think
Yep.
sometimes when you're like that, you really have to rely on your leadership. And I think they have a great coaching staff. Like Nickerson knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, and they have they
He's
usually
real.
this is the team that rolls deep with like 8 coaches.
Yeah.
How many coaches does this team have? Like every time I've seen them, it's like there's another adult, there's another adult, there's another adult. Okay, that's good. That's usually what you need to be super organized. What are
We
your
talked
thoughts
about
on them?
we talked about those buzzwords of gritty and blue collar, and this is a team that I'm not gonna get mad at if people apply those terms to Bill Rickers. They are a tough team. That you said the 8 coaches, they have that sense of community in Bill Ricka where people kind of come out. It's like it that's kind of and it bleeds onto the field of how that kind of the personality of that town. They are a tough team. They like I in that game, I mean in that year when they lost to Longmeadow in the finals. No, but in that game versus Duxbury, they were down late and they buckled down and really just kind of came through and gritted out a win. And I've seen them play a couple games since then that have followed the similar structure where they really kind of out gritted, for lack of a better word, other teams. And I think that come playoff time, they will really it shows. And they got studs on offense. And I still can't believe that Cam Tremblay is still in high school. He's been in 8th grade, and when I watch that team, I'm like,
He's
how?
a junior.
Yeah, like he's gonna
He's
finish with
playing
like
since he
five
was an eighth
thousand
grader.
career points. I'm like, what is going on? Jesus,
Yeah.
they're one of the few school. The Merrimack Valley in particular. I think that conference is prone to playing some 8th graders because I know Nickerson will do it sometimes. I think that like Drake it does it a little bit. So I'm curious to see how many other if that team see people like Cam balling out for 5 years in high school if they gonna come pick it up too and field some 8th graders on the team.
I tried to get an eighth grader on this year's team.
How'd that go?
And the only way you're allowed to play eighth graders in NHIAA is if you need them to have a full varsity team.
Uh,
So our numbers actually hurt us from getting. I probably would have played two. We have two eighth graders that like might make our varsity team. One of them definitely will. I don't know about the other one, but it just didn't work out. You know, we have different rules. It's fine. It's not the NHIA preview. It's the MIAA preview. Let's. I mean, they do. Billerica does return almost everyone from last year's quarterfinal team, right?
and that
They've
matters.
got, Cam Tremblay, who we mentioned before, Adam Priest, who's going to Endicott. Um, they got AJ Perella on defense, midfielder Cam Penty. Like, this is a team that has guys across what we like to call the spine, right? They
Yeah.
have the spine intact, and they play an aggressive style of lacrosse. So even if they're not like winning a game, the other team's kind of leaving with like you know a lot of ice packs on, if
Yeah.
if I may. Is that fair
Okay.
or
Very
unfair?
more than fair.
Yeah, I
Yes.
I, I think so.
Yeah.
Let's go to a team we've already kind of talked about a little bit. Duxbury. Do you play Duxbury?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, we're doing great with this so
Yeah.
far. You're being super honest, and I appreciate it. This
Yeah.
team lost a ton of seniors.
They a
So where are
lot
we
of
putting
talent.
them?
I expect them to stay in the top four of D2. I think that's pretty confident. They were the one seed last year.
Really?
I expect them to
Really?
stay. Well, here's the thing. We're talking about their past two games. They've already played two. They're 2-0. They held both teams to two goals, and one was Marshfield, who is
Okay.
legit. Another was a pretty tough team out of New York, Shaker High School, and they held both of them to two goals apiece. And I'm like, how does you you hold holding Charlie Carroll alone to three goals is a miracle, and you hold him to one? It's
Yeah.
like, but again, come June, we saw that in 2023. They did couldn't get goals when it mattered, and I'm trying to see if that's going to translate again, or if that's going to come again this year. But their defense, John Ravegno is a stud. He really anchors down. He's a tough kid. They lost, I mean, so many players. It's crazy. They had a lot of senior leadership last year, and they're going to need some growth fast. And the good news about them is that they play a good enough schedule in the Patriot League, which is just insane, that they're going to get battle tested and have kids grow throughout the year. But I'm not sure how much they're going to get offensive production wise as it. I mean, you can win games holding teams to two right now. I don't know if you can win games scoring just seven, is the thing.
Right. And you definitely
Yeah.
can't do that later in the playoffs
No,
because
absolutely
everyone's going to get better and everyone's going to have tape on you to
no.
go after you. I think one of the things that Duxbury has always done well is kind of control the middle of the field, right? And not
Mhm.
just, and I mean defensively. They're so good at picking you up out of the box. My favorite player on their team is Jack Sovic, who's going to
Yep.
Bentley. Short stick D mini, but also transition happy, super sick athlete, plays a bunch of sports. Like, he is the guy that you're going to put on someone, and then your third midi has to do something, right? Like, if you don't have a third midi that can dodge or get into shooting lanes or cut, you're in trouble against Duxbury, dude. Like, that's not gonna go well for you. LSM Cole Martin, also very good junior. Again, it's like polls are bred here, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is like defense you. And I think they're an interesting team. I think a lot of people are writing them off because of the senior graduations, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair thing to keep in the back of your mind. Like it just the numbers they had rolling out last year was impressive. So I mean, it's curious to see how they grow from there. But yeah, I expect them to control the ball a lot. Do you want to go into their Patriot League rivalry that we talked about just now, Marshfield now?
Marshfield is
Yep.
next. Do
Yep.
you play Marshfield?
We might.
You might.
So in the Chowder Cup, we might play them in the second round. Bracket's already out. And we played them in 2022, lost in overtime. I think that was Carroll's freshman year. First
Mhm.
time we played them in a while. And we had working on the podcast. I have the utmost respect for their program. They are a very, very fun team. They graduated some, but they still return a lot of talent. They're a tough team. They are, I mean, I don't know if I want to, but they're going to win. most every face-off that they take this year with Sam O'Brien there at X,
Yeah.
and it's and you get if you have the ball in your star attacking midfielders wherever you play them at hands, they're going to be dangerous. And I don't know how many teams are going to be able to slow them down. What they're going to do, we might see some triple pull against Marshfield this year to slow them down. You talked about it on the last pod.
Yeah.
Just don't know how many other teams are going to be able to get possessions off them because they can score like nobody's business. I mean, it's awkward talking about that when I just said they just scored 2 goals, but Duxbury's, like we said, DU,
Yeah.
uh, they're they're dangerous and they're kind of like they were always like they were in the middle tier D1. They went down to D2 last year, made the state finals their first year in, and I think now they're like, hey, we're here to stay. We were kind of playing around like, no, we carry ourselves like we are one of the top hitters now, and you have to come for us. Like we're here to stay, and you need to chase us. We're not chasing you guys anymore. And that's kind of the mentality they've adapted.
Yeah. Shout out Coach Kevin Orcutt, friend of the pod, has his own podcast episode. If you want to go back in the archives and check that out. You talked about Sam O'Brien. I, I couldn't believe he didn't get picked up this
Right
summer.
away. Yeah, I don't get it.
I think he's got to be talking to like 7 teams. Like
Yeah,
it has to be a conversation. He was so good at NELS against really top competition. I think a lot of coaches saw him there, put him on the board. Face off is weird to recruit, right?
yeah,
Like I mean, I've gone through it with one of my players who's a face off guy, and he ended up a place I would have never picked for him, right? Like I would have never thought that's where you're going. But
yeah.
I'm happy for him. He ended up, committing to RPI. Incredible program, great coach, and he's super lucky. I don't think he understands how lucky he is. I'm sure if he listens to this, I will remind him today at practice how lucky he is. Um, but it came at the end of the cycle, which is why it's different. So maybe that happens to O'Brien. I think maybe it's also matchups. Matchups
Yeah.
really determine a lot of how face-off guys get recruited either early or late, right? Like if you're already playing a super competitive high school schedule, there's a ton of tape on you, they might do that and pull the trigger early and then kind of see how you develop. Or they're, the other approach is to wait it out. And, it's always a gamble. Goalies and face-off for college level, D1, D2, D3, so unpredictable. You just can't, there's no way to prognosticate it, right? Like it's just not something, even experts are just like, oh yeah, this guy's can't miss. There's no such thing. There's really no such. I think Trevor Baptiste is the last one, and no one rated him anyway when he got recruited, and he still ended up turning out to be Trevor Baptiste. Any other thoughts on Marshfield before we move on?
No, I don't want to give them, as I said, bulletin board material if I were to
Oh,
talk about
right,
it.
right,
Yep.
okay. So great program, go Rams.
Go Rams.
Unless you're playing Westwood. All right, let's go to another team that dropped down recently,
Yeah.
Hingham.
Yeah.
Now I'm well on record, loving Hingham, pipe hitting dudes. Do not mess around. Try kind of control that midfield area. That's been the team's motif, shall we say. Their identity is controlling you and then getting the ball and just out shooting you. Like just finding a way, right? Finding a way to score, cutting through seams. It's a great 1-2-3 pass team. They don't hang out. Some of these teams, because there's no shot clock, some teams I've noticed, especially third quarter, a lot of these MIA teams in Division Two and Division One, they third quarter is the winner, right? Like
Yeah.
if you win the third quarter, you win the game because coming out of the locker room is how you control things. And a lot of teams will slow it down in the third or speed it up depending on the momentum or if they're getting a lot of possessions. Any what? Sorry, follow up question: do you play Hingham?
We do not. They're not on our schedule.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You touched on it, but like when Hingham is clicking on offense, it almost looks like there's no defense. It's like they just are crisp. They're cutting lanes, picking. They run stuff from X, stuff guys going over the middle, and it just looks they run it. It's like a dream offense when I ever see them like really clicking. Like I last year I expected it. I thought Hingham and Duxbury were on a collision course to meet in the state finals. I thought that was going to
Mhm.
happen without a doubt. And neither of them ended up making it that far. And I forget who Hingham lost to. I believe Longmeadow, and just got out athleted a little bit. I just still is they lost a face-off guy and a goalie, Hingham did, and so they had the ball the whole game, and when they didn't have the ball, their goalie was making stops and getting the other way. So I'm curious to see their new kind of identity that they adapt this year, with those two positions gone. I just still think that, like I said, tough team, very good personalities. They also, for I don't want to too much. They for a program as good as them, they lose a lot of talent to certain schools, and they still turn out a great product and have that great sense of community. So
You
I
can
have
say it. It's not a swear. You can say it.
it's the Catholics and the preps take some
Yep.
Hingham guys,
Yep.
and they still are one of the best programs. Back when they were still D1, they were always in the top of D1. So that just shows you that the youth program that they run, the high school program that they run, the Coach Todd keeps those guys invested, and the fact that they get as poached as they do, and still have that type of level, I have the utmost respect for them, and I will always have respect in my heart for teams like that.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite players on their team this year is Declan Kelly. He's going. He's a long pole. He's going to Denison. I feel like he definitely could have gone to a D1 if
Mhm.
there was enough interest, and he did have interest from D1 from speaking with certain people. You mentioned that Hingham moves the ball really well. They remind me, and club teams forgive me for this, but I'm right. They remind me of a 3D team. The
Okay.
way they move the ball, like the way they swing through X, they don't do wasted things, right? And they
Yes.
don't do standing around, which to me as an offensive coordinator, music to my eyeballs. I just love to see it. You love to see three, four, five, six, seven passes and guys moving on every pass instead of guys sitting on the crease, guy moving to a pipe, guy maybe just hanging out at X. Like that doesn't happen with Hingham. So I would say keep an eye on them. I think they are definitely something to watch. Um, but I do think something needs to be said about just because you drop down doesn't mean you're automatically in the position to win a championship,
Yeah.
right? But we are going to transition to, I guess, our last team. I have a bonus one for you that you're going to hate, but we're going to transition to the next team, who I think is the overwhelming favorite, and that is Longmeadow.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not an understatement to say that they should be. If there was betting odds, they'd be a heavy favorite to
Oh,
repeat.
let me ask you this. If we're about to talk about D1 after this in
Yeah.
MIA, who is a bigger favorite, Longmeadow or SJP?
That's a great question. You'd have to give it to SJP, but I think it's way closer than some people would realize. I really do.
I think it's very close.
Yes.
It was what if we're putting betting on, I don't know anything about betting odds, but if I did, I would say SJP payout, 20 to 1, 16 to 1 for
It's
Longmeadow.
the other way around. You'd say 1 to 20.
1 to 20. That's right. 1 to 20,
'Cause 21
1 to
is a long
16.
shot.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Yeah, see, I don't know what I'm doing with gambling.
There you go.
This is
Yeah.
funny because I've had people like ask me like, why don't you do that? And I'm like, I don't know how it works, first of all. Second of all, it's shady. I've had gambling companies ask me to do stuff on DMs and stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't think
Yeah.
so. They also
Yeah.
pay trash. So if someone comes up and asks you that, they're gonna pay you $20 to sell your soul online. Don't do it. If you guys are listening and you're trying to be like writers and you think that's the way in, it's not. No one respects those people. Sorry.
Back
Tangent,
to Longmeadow.
tangent, as usual.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Do we start with like the seventh midfield? Like, what is this team? This team is an army.
It's they're like it's like a hydra. It's like you graduate that one D1 guy, two more coming up right behind him. There's
Yep.
just no stopping them. Like going back to what we talked about with Medfield, like that tradition, the history of Longmeadow is a real thing. Like they go back to like the Blue Bloods of Massachusetts lacrosse, and that tradition carries with them. It's like just athletes, athletes. You go to see them on the
Yeah.
field, athletes. There's just 40 kids there ready to take the spot the next time there's an opening. It's crazy. And like the last year, they blew through some teams that I expected to be like close games. And they just have speed. I just don't know. Like, yeah, the way Army is the way to put it. It's just
Yeah.
they're gonna run you into the death. They're faster than you. Though they just beat a team. The goalie made like 20 plus saves and they still scored like 18 goals. I was like, how
Yeah.
does that
You
happen?
texted me
Yeah.
that, and I was like, oh no.
I was like, how, huh? How many shots did you get off? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and they've, I mean, legendary coach. He's many times state championship, and he's a character. He's definitely you hear him from a couple fields away. He's crazy, but he gets those kids to play hard.
Yeah. I mean, this is like any 10U. Like how many kids on this team are being recruited to the NE10? Like
Yeah,
5? That's crazy. And here's the thing too, people that aren't super versed in the colleges and the scales and whatnot.
yeah,
NE10 is the best or second best conference in all of Division II lacrosse. So if you're sending kids, even like an Assumption is much better this year. If you're sending kids to Assumption, sending kids to St. A's, sending kids to Bentley, like these are teams that are in the top 20 or thereabouts, sending kids to Pace, schools like that. Like this, a lot of Longmeadow kids go D2. I think it's great. Like it's not a knock. There's
no,
certain levels of D2, just like there's certain levels of D3 where it's like, oh, you're going there. All right.
yeah.
But I don't think that's the case here. And you have to be a certain kind of athlete to play in the NE10. It's very tough. It's not like some other conferences, sorry, D2, but this is true, where everyone has a knee brace. You know, we call it the knee brace conference in
Yeah.
private. There's a couple of those going around, but NE10 is not one of them. You have to be a two-way guy. You have to be a guy that can take a hit and deliver a hit to play in that game. Play games in that conference. Anyone stand out for you in particular with this group leading the way?
I can't pick one is kind of the thing. I'm not sure who.
Let's pick the face-off guy, Nick DeAngelis Gray, who's going to
Yeah,
Bentley. Yeah.
another one of the just mentioned the NE10 guys. Just he's a guy that it wouldn't surprise me if in like June you saw he had like 3 goals off of 3 clean wins and he just took it coast to coast and went down and scored. It just like I wouldn't be shocked if somehow they hold teams to like 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals throughout a lot of the early rounds of the playoffs, just because he's just gonna win everything and they're just gonna snipe the pipes. I'm scared of them.
I mean, even their sophomores are good, right?
Yeah,
You've got guys like Owen Murray, their goalie Lee Chapman, Nate De Blasio. Like this is a team that it's not reliant on just seniors to carry, juniors to kind of also carry a little bit of water. It's across the board. Like they're gonna have starters at every position. They're different classes.
yeah,
Like Longmeadow is one of those places where the tradition of the youth program really pushes. And Longmeadow, let's add them to the bucket of guys that get poached, right?
yeah,
Like there's Longmeadow guys that a lot. I've noticed a couple go to Lakes region a little more in the last couple years than usual. But they lose guys to ISL even though they're out west. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Like what I mean? Like there's just a way to find a guy. But talk about this team. This is easily the favorite in Division Two.
yeah, absolutely.
So I say, go top shelf, upper 90s, right under the crossbar. Any questions?
Professor, the NCAA Lacrosse Championships are coming to Boston. Are we ready?
You prepared to get loud, face paint up, bring boom boom to Beantown? Oh, you're ready. The NCAA D1, D2, and D3 men's and D1 women's lacrosse championships, May 23rd through the 26th in Boston. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets.
Hi, I'm Jamie Marcoux, AVP for Athletics at LaSalle University. We're proud to offer 15 NCAA Division III varsity sports teams. And last year, all of our varsity teams advanced to the conference playoffs. Our student athletes excel both on the field and in the classroom. LaSalle offers over 60 majors and minors and is located just 8 miles from Boston. With one of the most affordable private educations and housing ranked #1 in Massachusetts by Niche, we're committed to providing an exceptional college experience. Visit lasalle.edu to learn more.
All right, let's move on to Division One, where Owen can now share uncensored thoughts on all his
There we go.
teams because he will never play D1. Wait, do you play any D1 teams? Do you cross over?
I mean, in the regular season, we play Wellesley, and I think that's it this year. So yeah,
No crossover
Yeah.
in the top. Do you want to? I don't want this entire podcast to be a St. John's Prep podcast.
yeah.
Let's hit them first. Let's hit them first. I want to talk
Yeah.
about everyone else too. Listen, this team has like 16 commits. Like half of them are going D1. good luck, I guess. Like, I don't really know what to
No.
say to teams that have to play against SJP. It's if Longmeadow's an army, this is an entire battalion.
Yeah. You mentioned it's like, oh, Jimmy Ayers is gone. Here comes another one. Oh, what's it? Oh my God, who went to Princeton? Oh my
Oh,
God.
lots of them.
Yeah, which is like
Kelly.
yeah,
Kelly.
doesn't matter who graduated. They're coming up even stronger on the backside. It's like you have guys that probably played like JV as sophomores that are still going to come out and be a stud in their seniors because it's just so depth. You see them, and it's like your varsity team might be the size of my program and then some. It's crazy.
Their freshman team might
Yeah.
be the size of your team and then some. I mean, this is a squad that builds from eighth grade. You know,
Yeah.
like it's straight up just guys, and it's a gauntlet, right? Like
Mhm.
the funny thing is, do you know how many junior commits they have? You want to guess?
I guess
Guess.
four.
One.
Really
Yeah. Will Crawford going to Providence.
interesting.
Face-off guy. He's the backup. He might be I think he's the first backup for the face-off position. He's the only one. That is obviously going to change
Yep.
this summer. Just because they didn't get first wave, second wave guys doesn't mean that they don't have great juniors. Like they do.
Yep.
But the seniors are going to boss this entire season. It's just an insane class of guys. I mean, obviously you had Weissenberger and DeLucia. You have these guys just ready to go, ready-made. Sam Wilmot going to Richmond. These guys were going D1 when they were 16.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of players that we have here. I actually love Josh Harmon, who is, I don't think he's one of those. He's huge. First of all, he doesn't get a ton of burn in the last couple of years, but I think this year might be his real breakout season. He's going to Con College. I kind of had him earmarked as a D1 guy, but a NESCAC guy is, to me and to any parent listening, if they're going to a NESCAC, it's just as good, if not better. And most of the time, it's better than D1. Okay? It goes Ivy League, NESCAC, Patriot, Liberty, everyone else.
Yeah.
Academically. Sorry. Clarify.
No,
Academic.
yes.
And that's the goal, right? Because lacrosse, you know, you're not making millions of dollars if you go pro playing lacrosse. You can't even make millions of dollars writing about it. Trust me.
Knock off a couple zeros on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 7 zeros.
And I'll say this, what you hear Pinch and talk, it kind of is like he like almost pretends that they're not as good as they are, and it kind of can come across as annoying and but he's humble because he knows, because like if we treat it like that, we're not going to 4-peat, 5-peat. He keeps his guys like, hey, like the goal is this way. It doesn't matter what we just did. And he's serious about it. He means it. He's the most modest, humble guy, and it's just annoying how good they are. And he keeps that kind of attitude, but he keeps the guys focused, and he does a really good job of it. And he handles that stuff fantastic. And it's hard to do, and I give him a lot of credit for it.
He handles it way better than I do.
Yeah.
Because we got ranked number 1 by somebody, and I lost my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, no. It was like I saw it with my eyes. It was like a cartoon. My eyes bugged out. I was like, no. And then I went on Instagram and I was like, everyone's reposting on the team. I was like, okay, we got to be mean today in practice. And I was. I don't know if it worked, but obviously SJP, huge favorites. Coach Pinchin, one friend of the show. He also has a pod if you want to go back and listen to that. The next logical step is BC High, right?
Yep.
Like, let's go talk about them. You've written a couple articles about these guys. What are your thoughts on BC High as a potential challenger?
So the thing that's good about BC High is that they're kind of like the middle ground where they're still being chased by the publics, but they still have SJP as their kind of like goal that we still got to take them down. They're our whale we got to chase.
They're the boogeyman. Yeah.
So they kind of exist in a weird area where it's like we have to still like fight off the people that are coming to get us, but we are so motivated towards the goal of getting SJP and so like they're kind of double motivated that way. And it's a weird, not all teams can say that. So they kind of exist in a weird gray area in D1. And last year, would you say you could say was like their down year a little bit, and they still made it Final Four, close-ish game with SJP, and they come back. They're still an emcing on this team. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
how many years has there been emcing on that roster? I think there's two. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Uh, they send guys to great schools, and they had a lot of guys who were kind of in like kind of trial by fire games last year where they just kind of got thrust into roles after a huge senior class from 2023 that was just absurd. With you had Maroney, Chapman, Emsing, their defense was absurd. Carroll, and then all those guys went bye-bye, and then the guys had to learn on the job last year, and now they're coming back after that experience, tougher, battle-tested, and should be right there again, and maybe even because last year I think that they finished fourth maybe or third. I don't remember. They weren't 1-2. Like, and I think that
Right.
they're coming licking their wounds off that, coming back stronger. And I just don't know what to say. They're meticulous. They're strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want Coach Craigwell to like me. I think it's no. I have the unfortunate, like, part of this job is interviewing the team that loses in the championship or in the semis, and you've done it. It's so brutal, and
Yeah.
like I only want to talk about strategy after games, and it's so annoying to coaches. Like, I'm sorry, I know that
Yeah.
it's annoying to you. Even if you win, you don't want to talk about it unless it's the championship, and then you'll tell me everything. But I have had the unfortunate honor of having to ask him a lot of tough questions after losses in championship games.
Yeah.
And it's not him at all. It's me being like, sorry, I'm doing this. Like, it's just the mental block for me. But he strikes me as very cerebral and a guy that's always kind of dialed into what his team can do.
Yep.
And I think he holds them to a pretty high standard. I think that's good. That's what you want out of your coach, right? And I think this team has that potential. I think the question marks for them are in goal and all other special teams. Like, who is going to step up for the Golden Eagles in the special teams needs? Face off, wing, in the cage, man down, short stick D middies. Like, that's what I want to see from this team. Like, I think, and you're right, you're totally right about them graduating a lot of their talent, be it surface level or not, to the next level. But I do think also they're weirdly underrated going into this season. I think they're a little under the radar because I think people are really putting Xaverian in the same conversation as them now. Whether that's true or not, we can transition right to them. What is your read on Xaverian?
You put me in a difficult situation talking about this school.
Why? Oh, because Well, we can put that aside and be professionals.
Yeah. But you mentioned that, like, for a while there, it was like Prep and BC High are here, and then Xaverian's here.
Yes.
And then the past 2 years, it kind of they've flipped, and they're not really that third child of the Catholic Conference anymore.
No.
They've come through, and even CM to a lesser extent too. You can put in there too, where they swept Xaverian last year, beat BC High, and so now it's not as much of a one-headed dragon and the rest. It's a little bit more cyclical, and Xaverian is right there too, with their. So they had Gardner come back as head coach, and he is one of, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the state. And especially, like, I interviewed him last year after a game, and same kind of thing where he's focused, making decisions. I like every decision matters, and really kind of gets guys to play smart. And sometimes you can't just, because sometimes with the roster they have, you can't just out athlete guys. You still need to put in the work X's and O's, and it seems like they kind of got more of that last year, and they had a good season, and I think that they're coming back saying we're not the third stepchild anymore. We're coming for you, and I'm curious to see how that turns out. I'm not sure when they play Prep or BC High on the schedule, but I'm really interested to see how those games unfold.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a team to watch. My favorite player on that team is Johnny Black, who is going to Union. I love small, crafty attackmen. That's just kind of my, I wonder why. And he can run an offense, This is cool. The thing I think that is super cool about him, he can run it from the wing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see that often. Like, I wish I had a team smart enough to run an offense from the wing. It would be awesome. Right. And I think with the Xaverian, you have to watch pairs, you have to watch big littles, you have to watch their pick game. Not one of the teams that, this is my personal thing. Again, hate to inject it into the podcast, but as a coach, I have to. Picking on ball is like my least favorite thing.
Yeah.
I'm a big
Fair.
pick off ball guy and cut through the seam guy. That's just how I like to see offense. And, Xaverian does a good job of setting that up and knocking it down. Ton of commits. We mentioned
Yeah.
Longmeadow had a lot of D2 guys. So does Xaverian in the senior class. And that usually lends to a more complete, again, those players are a complete blend where they're athletes, their skill, and they also understand the things going on around them, which I think is one of the things that really pushes the team to the next level. Let's talk about one of our favorite teams, coached by one of our favorite dudes.
Yeah.
I bet you don't know what I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Lincoln-Sudbury.
Yep, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
They talk about I care about this sport more than almost anything. I love it so much. I want the growth of the sport so much. I think I'm in like the top 1% out of those people. Vana is like 7 standard deviations more than that. He is intense, more passionate is an insult to how much he cares about it. He's that type of dude when it comes to this stuff. It's crazy. And if you look at the roster, the schedule that they're playing, it shows. They were one of teams like Longmeadow to go independent and not play their conference. And they're playing teams from not only all over the state, not all over the region, all over the country. It's crazy. They just came back from a trip to Niskayuna. Actually, no, I think they hosted Niskayuna. They went last year. They're playing everybody. It's like there's no cupcakes on their schedule.
No.
And they test their guys. So like if you're a freshman playing in that 2 years ago when you're playing a hitter every other day that are now juniors and seniors, they've been through battles in the regular season and now they're maturing to grow up. I remember one of their players, I was covering one of their games and I was like, oh, like you that midfielder is going to be good. And he was like, oh, like where's he going next year? Like, oh, he's a freshman. I was like, what? And it was Rex Friedholm. I was like, that kid.
Yeah. The best Dodger in the state.
I was like,
by the
he's
way.
getting that miles per hour on a shot from what you mentioned it like a coffee cup pod was on, like noticing where shooters get their power from.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he just sprints like that and the shot's 100 miles an hour through the net. I'm like, where did you get the power for that? He's one of my favorite people to watch dodge and shoot. It's crazy to see him maneuver through a defense and get his looks. It's mind blowing. And they have guys like that all over the field. And like I said, meticulous. Vana is a very singular type of coach.
Yeah. Yeah. My guy for that is Kevin Abair, who I saw as a freshman at NELS. And I was like, yo, who's this senior? Because he's jacked, right? I'm just like, oh, what? This guy must be going somewhere. And they're like, he's a freshman. And I was like, what? Oh, now he's going to Navy. So it's not a surprise. Where do you put LS in the greater scheme? Are they a legit contender?
I think I have them right now as the best public school in D1. I think that they are.
Okay.
And I think that by the time, so last year they lost to Needham in the Elite Eight, I think. And it was kind of a shock because they were, as for many considerations, one of the best teams in the state. And Needham kind of came in there with their wrecking crew of Poles that they have and said, okay, we're going to take this and go beat you guys. And then gave Prep actually a decent run at the state finals after knocking out AB. And I just think that they're, again, but they were really young last year and still were the 2 seed. And I think that they just have guys back and they are a very selfless team. They make the extra pass. They play smart. We talk about these guys, but they don't, it's not a run it and rip it team. They run meticulous offense. Their defense, mean, physical. They get the ball on the ground. They're going the other way. And I'm impressed with what they've done with a young crew. And now guys have battle tested. And I have them as the best public in D1. I really do.
All right. Let's talk about another team you mentioned there.
Yep.
Acton-Boxborough.
Yep.
Also friend of the pod.
I thought they were on a collision course to meet in the playoffs last year. And the fact that we didn't get it I was so sad. And I want it this year so bad. Everybody
Wait,
wants
why? Say why.
There's an article on Lacrosse.com about this, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. That rivalry was so fun. And once LS said no more DCL, and then they met again in the playoffs, it like
spicy.
The facade of, hey, where it's a playoff game, all respect. No, it was an angry game and it was amazing. It was so fun. But Coach A is, again, friend of the pod. We had him on a couple weeks ago. One of the few teams to just say we're gonna run zone this year and try to beat it, and they did it very well.
Good luck.
Yeah, and they I forget, they lost the goalie to Dexter a few years ago, and I expected it to hurt them way more than it did, and they were nope. They still turn out athletes, and like you said, they have that sense of kind of like Billerica, that sense of community, the grittiness, the toughness. They kind of wear that as a badge of honor. And you want to talk about all this stuff we've been talking about with poaching, Catholics. Pat hasn't been quiet about how he feels about it, and still believes in his guys and trusts his guys. And he's like, he's going to roll out his team, and he has faith in whoever steps on the field for him.
Yeah. Standout guy for me, Mike Calvo, who just committed to UMass like late. Wasn't sure if he was going to like go somewhere else or not, or maybe hit a D3, but got in as UMass's kind of last guy in this class. Someone to watch. He is an ox at the X. Like that's a dude, like good luck getting him off the ball. If he wins the draw, you're not going to get underneath him. He's going to run right through you. We're running short on time.
Yep.
I want to hit Andover because I think Jack Cooper's one of my favorite middies. Like just a big dude with a big shot, right? Yeah. You got to love those guys. And he's one of those guys for me. Andover, I think, surprised people last year, but I wasn't really surprised because I knew most of the kids on the team from club. And I was like, oh, this team's going to be really good. And they were. Didn't really get as far as I think maybe they thought they were going to get. But do you think they can have a similar run this year?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that's interesting about them, I kind of touched on it last year, is that they don't play the 18, 19, 20 games. A lot of teams did do it. They run 14, 15 games. And we said we believe in getting our guys breaks, playing tough teams, practice. Like they don't care about all this. We need to go play the 5 best teams in D2 and non-conference and all the top D1 teams and get our power rank. Like they just believe in the process. And that's the Brian Bazell method. He's a very, very, that's kind of, you know why they're that good. They have him in the back there leading them, and he's a phenomenal dude. And you kind of mentioned it. Like I like teams who sometimes you'll have a team where their best player is a midi, and because he's their best player, they might say, okay, well, we want him in attack, so we have the ball in his hands at every possession. Right. But sometimes that's not to the benefit of your team. If you're playing him out of positional bit, you have to trust that, hey, this is where he belongs. We're gonna run with this. We're not gonna. And I struggled with that a couple years ago. We had a kid like that who we tried to switch it back and forth, and we ended up
we did it last year too.
Yeah, and it takes commitment and trusting yourself that this is where it needs to go. And it's just a small little thing, but just decisions like that, if they don't go your way, matter. And at the end, you saw it like with Jake Vana at SJP last year, who midfielder, and he kind of like had to, I'm not going to be on this every single rep, and that's okay. And just kind of again,
I would look for him and be like, why isn't he touching the ball?
Yeah.
Exactly. And like he would take, like, because he takes a shift off because he can.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's just kind of how it works with some of these guys. We are running short on time, so we're not going to get to the team that made it to the championship instead, which is Needham. We're going to make predictions. D2, what's your take off your Westwood hat? Yeah. What's your ideal final for D2?
So I think Longmeadow Reading would be really fun. So I like we're doing this. I like to see matchups, and I think that'd be really fun. Kind of similar teams, kind of like not the teams out a little bit. The how they match up. They played a lot. They played in the state semis or state. I forget what year it was, but they played a good amount. They played great games. That's something that'd be really fun. Similar if any of combination of Duxbury, Hingham, or Marshfield make the state finals, that could be really interesting. But I just think it's just what you said. Like Longmeadow is here, and everybody's chasing them. So I would, as for right now, I think it'd be interesting. Longmeadow Reading would be a really good state final.
I would say, and I mean, for me, the interesting thing would be if Longmeadow lost, but I can't say that as my prediction because I'll get a horse head in the mail from Coach Campbell. I don't want to do that. I think Longmeadow Hingham is fun. Yeah. I would love to see that. Maybe Billerica. I think they have a chance as well. D1, what do you think? It's SJP. Who makes it to face SJP? Who do you want?
It'd be fun to see SJP LS, kind of like the old guard and the new guard.
Yes.
LS had that run.
It's what everyone wants.
They had that run in the 2010s where they were winning the state final 4 out of 6 years, and now Prep's here too. They've just won so it'd be fun to see those two come to a head in the state finals, and that'd be electric. That'd be so fun. Yeah,
that is actually my pick as well.
Yeah.
But we are out of time for this podcast, and appreciate you guys listening. Thanks for coming on, Owen. Appreciate your time. You're not coming on the next one, so say your what's Westwood's final record this year? Go.
No, I'm not saying that. Not gonna happen.
I almost got you.
Jesus, Kyle.
Sorry. I know it's a stressful time. All right. We want to thank you for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. For Owen Hart, I'm Kyle Devitt. We'll see you next time.